So I thought it's about time I jump on here and give you all a bit of a look into what's been going on the last few weeks in regards to my kidney health and what's been happening there. Also, a bit of a follow-on from that last video of you see me heading down the coast with the expectations of, will surfing help improve my labs through my blood test results? So yeah, if you haven't watched that previous video, I'd probably jump on there and have a bit of a look in that one. That'll give you some context into this one in terms of me getting blood tests, going surfing, and just seeing some results, which in my eyes looks like some improvement. I mean, it's very minimal. The results are very small, but it's all I've got to work with at the moment. So, I mean, I'm taking any sort of win at the moment. So I'm just flowing on with that. But yeah, what's been happening the last few weeks? I mean, I've been, just trying to navigate everything. I mean, family, social life, work life. It's been all happening so quickly. There's lots of things coming up which I'd sort of never even really thought about at this stage, but it's all sort of happening real quick. Look, when I was in hospital, they were telling me some of the big things that will pull my kidney health down will be like getting sick, getting viruses, having another kidney stone episode, which, can pull your labs down and basically get me below that number. 10 and I'm on dialysis. So this was a pretty scary thought to be, considering I was only at 14. So, I mean, I've been just trying to do everything I can to get those labs up, eating fresh fruit and veggies, back on like whole grain sort of stuff, limiting my protein intake, not massively, but just, doing a lot of reduction there, looking at my salt and processed foods. I've cut it out completely. I don't drink any soft drink or anything like that. It's all just water now. And fresh fruit and veggies, all just fairly natural stuff, nothing processed, no takeaway food, none of that. So yeah, been going down, trying to get a fair bit of surfing in and, doing my best to keep active, keep busy and, get the blood flowing, get movement going and, hopefully, try and improve these results and get them to a higher rate where I can sort of stabilize and, hopefully maintain that so that I don't have to end up on dialysis. So, but yeah, been a lot going on and look, I went surfing that day and went and got my blood test like I said I would. I'll run you through some of those now and we can go through those results. So let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to quickly run you through this pathology report here. I don't know if you got a good look at it the last time, but I've tried to make it a bit better for you this time. So this is a pathology report. On the top here is the dates. So each one of these lists down here is one of the dates that I had my blood tests done. For reference, the highlighted green ones are the days I went surfing. The other ones are the days that I didn't go surfing. I messed up here, but I still had some pretty decent results on this one, so I've just highlighted them in the yellow color. But just quickly on the right-hand side here, in this box here, between the brackets, now these elements here are basically determine what you should be between, like for someone of my age, it'll give you roughly what you should be between. Now, one of these main ones which might change is your creatinine. So if you're a marathon runner or a bodybuilder, someone who does a lot of fitness or, you're pretty extreme in terms of workouts and things like that, your creatinine level might be naturally higher than the, say, average. So on the average here, it's saying you should be between 60 and 130. Now, your norm, if you're sort of an extreme sports person, might be higher. So I don't actually have any reference to what my creatinine levels should be or what they are normally, just because within the last 7 weeks, I've had these results in the last 7 weeks, but before that, I have no prior history. So I'm just going to determine here that I'm an extreme athlete because mine is quite high. So I'm just going to run with that. But it actually was in hospital. I was up around the 400 levels, right? So that's pretty high, and it's saying it should be between 60 and 130. But so if we look over here on the left-hand side, this gives you a list of all the elements that they check. Now, there's one in here which is your EGFR level. So EGFR basically takes all of these levels from this day that you had your blood test, does like some sort of mathematical equation, and gives you your EGFR, which is basically your overall kidney function based on these elements on this day. Okay, and then to determine, like in terms of kidney health, which ones you actually look at, I've highlighted those in the orange here. Now again, creatinine could be different for different body types, but if you know your norm, then you know where you're at. So basically they are potassium, urea, creatinine, your EGFR, and phosphorus. Okay, so I'll just run you quickly through this. I had ones prior to this, which were the ones where I was in hospital, and my EGFR was down at like 14. My creatinine was up at 400, so it's pretty high. But yeah, so like this was the first week out of hospital. Again, I was feeling absolutely buggered because it was pretty crazy, and I'll run you through that. That's another story, but I didn't go into depth on that one, but we can go into depth a bit later on. But yeah, look, we're looking at urea. Is the main two elements of my issue are urea and creatinine. So my urea is quite high, 15.5. Now it should be between 2.5 and 8.0. Now, again, highlighted, went surfing. This is the first time I went surfing and was like, hey, I think this might make a difference to, my overall kidney function. So if we look, 13.7, went from 15.5 to 13.7. So that's a pretty decent drop. Creatinine, we went from 374 to 352. So that's pretty good. My urea should be between 2.5 and 8.0. And, 13.7 is a pretty decent drop. That's in my eyes anyway. EGFR went up to 18 from 16. So that's a pretty decent increase. Now I'm putting that down to surfing. Okay, so that's all I've got. Now, if we look back at the phosphorus, week out of hospital, 1.2. Now, my phosphorus levels are all pretty within reason. 0.8 to 1.5 is what it should be. So, I was at 1.2 week out of hospital. Then I went down, went surfing, 0.09. Okay, so that's come down. That's great. If it's lower there, I assume it should be good. Didn't go surfing, went up to 1.2. Didn't go surfing, went up to 1.3. Now, the last time I went surfing and I was like going down the coast, these were the results. So, phosphorus, 1. All right, so if we look across here, no surfing, 1.2, surfing, 0.9. So that's good. No surfing, 1.2. That's okay, but not great. No surfing, 1.3. Surfing, back down 1. So if we're just looking at this very small observation, we're seeing that when I go surfing, the phosphorus levels drop down, which is, I assume, good. Okay, if we look up at the EGFRs, went from 16, 18 surfing, no surfing, 17 went down a bit. Now this week I highlighted because I actually did okay, not really sure what's going on there, but EGFR went up to 18. My creatinine level went from 343, and that came from 358 to 343. We look at surfing. This last time I actually went up a little bit, 354, and then my EGFR dropped a little bit. So that's not amazing, but what is good is that the urea, which is one of my main issues, 13.5 dropped, 14.5, 15.6, no surfing days, 15.6, 14.5, 13.5. Now, no surfing back here, 15.5, so it's quite high. When surfing, 13.7. So it's dropping back down to the 13s, and it should be between 2.5 and 8.0. Now, my potassium levels are pretty all right across the board, same as my phosphorus. But, just looking at the small things, no surfing, 4.0. So that's sort of getting a little bit towards the higher end, not much. When surfing, 3.6. No surfing, 3.7, so that's not too bad. No surfing, 4.2, so again, not too bad, but went a bit higher. When surfing, 3.9, dropped again. So it's looking like basically when I go surfing, my phosphorus levels and my potassium levels seem to drop to lower levels, which also drops my urea levels. And my creatinine is sort of like waving here and there, but it is definitely sort of trending down, which is great. So look, I can't really determine whether or not from this little information whether surfing does help improve your kidney function. What I can prove is that this research that I'm conducting is inconclusive and requires a lot more research. And I am willing to put my hand up and do the research for Kidney Health Australia to figure out whether surfing actually improves your EGFR and can help bring down some of those, issues, which to me is clearly showing my urea and is definitely coming down, and EGFR improvements are there. Now, look, I'm all for the research. I'm not sure if the Queensland government or whatever wants to help me in this situation in terms of getting to the bottom of this and really figuring it out. But look, I'm all here. I'm ready to roll and ready to give it a shot. So I reckon let's get this research done, and hopefully we can see if this helps to fix a few kidneys. See how we go.